Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, and welcome back, one and all, to the Wano arc! I'm so happy I finally get to say that. Welcome back to the Wano arc, as in we're already in the freaking Wano arc. It's been so long. Alright, so this will be chapter 910, titled Onwards to Wano. Whoa. Onwards to Wano. We just... No, it's not Onwards to Wano. It's we're already in Wano. Oh my god, this is going to be epic. Zoro cut a guy and a building in half last chapter. Let's expand on that, shall we? No, we're actually backtracking a little bit to Luffy and Nami's side of things, you know, on the Thousand Sunny. I guess Brook, Sanji, and Chopper and Carrot are there too. But they're heading to Wano, and this chapter, a lot of stuff happens, but it's a really fast chapter because it just kind of covers the entrance to Wano and all the different natural boundaries that protect the country. Because remember, Wano is a isolated nation, right, from the world government. But you would also figure because this country is so just not only isolated from that perspective, but also because the culture is so different, there has to be something other than just a political boundary. Like, think about it this way. If the world government and the Marines got wind that there was this country out in the New World that had all these incredibly strong warriors, these samurai, I don't think that if it was just a political boundary, I don't think the world government would have honored that. I think the world government would have been like, okay, well, this country's out in the middle of nowhere and they're raising a bunch of soldiers to fight. We don't know what they're capable of. We should probably take them out sooner rather than later. Like, ask them to join us, and if they refuse, then we attack and we take over their island by force. So it makes sense that on top of there being a political boundary, there's also a natural one where you just can't easily sail into Wano. So we get to see that in this chapter. But anyway, before we get into that, of course, we have to have Orlumbus's grand adventure. You know what's funny? I just realized this Orlumbus arc has lasted way longer than all the other Straw Hat Grand Fleet serials. I went back and checked. Most of them lasted only 5 to 6 chapters. This is Orlumbus's 8th. And it doesn't seem like it's going to be ending anytime soon. So I don't know why Oda is particularly focused on this one. Maybe he just doesn't want to end the serial yet, or maybe he just really has a... This Orlumbus story might end in a really epic way. You don't know. Like, he might, it's like, you know, 10 chapters of him just, like, randomly doing pirate stuff. Like, I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to eat a hearty breakfast, and I'm going to sail my fleet. And then it could end with him like, oh, Orlumbus discovers a road poneglyph at 10 p.m. You know, it could go that way. I don't know, man. He just randomly stumbles upon the last hidden one, or the ancient weapon Uranos. What is that? You know, like, okay. But, yeah, this is his 8th cover story, and remember that island he was bombarding last week? He turns out that he arrives on the island and actually feels sorry for the people there, because it's a rather impoverished country, and that reminds him of when he was a child and he came from a poor country. Oda actually has drawn the Straw Hat Grand Fleet members as children. Here's Orlumbus, and we could see him as like a disheveled child just reading some books by candlelight. So, you know, we kind of got that impression. So, yeah, Orlumbus felt sorry for them, and he's like shedding a tear. He's like, I'm sorry for bombarding you. Here, take some food. So, you know, he's a nice guy. I just don't know where this is going, but we'll see, Oda. I'll humor you. I'll see where this is going. Alright, with that being said, we now cut to the sea in the New World. The Thousand Sunny is sailing along, bright, sunny skies, nice, gentle current, just carrying them along. Everything seems to be good. We'll see how that gets screwed over, but for right now, it's a pretty peaceful voyage. Now, they're reading the newspaper from Reverie, okay? So this is actually taking place at least a few days after Reverie, or I guess at the shortest amount of time, maybe the day after, because of course we had Reverie, Shirahoshi, Vivi, Rebecca, everyone arriving, all of the press were taking pictures. So, if Morgan's was really quick with all this, you know, hurry up and get this back for distribution. Cuckoo! Big news! He hurries and get that back. Maybe this is the next day, but, you know, considering how, you know, travel works in One Piece and everything like that, I was going to assume it's going to be at least a few days since then. But, yeah, they delivered the World Economic Journal, and Nami's reading it, and she's relaying all the information. Everybody's there. You have Vivi and Wapple and Rebecca and Dalton and Kureha. Everybody. She mentions to Luffy, he's like, oh yeah, Shirahoshi was there, and Luffy turns, is like, oh, Wika Hoshi, you know, she actually came up with well, good for her, good for her. And then she mentions, oh yeah, and your grandfather was escorting her. And it's like, oh really? Huh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of like little moments like this I would love for Luffy to expand upon a little bit. Like, Luffy, your grandfather was, you know, escorting Shirahoshi. I would love for Luffy at this point to, like, tell us a story about Garp or something, but Luffy is just not the kind of guy he is. He doesn't do that kind of stuff. He's just like, oh, Gramps there? Oh, okay, cool. That's nice. She's in good hands then. You know, that's all he does. Meanwhile, as you can imagine, Sanji is going goo goo gaga over Vivi. In this particular, oh, good lord, Sanji. Okay. All right, look, Sanji, I'm not really one to criticize here, and I'm not the best person to give relationship advice either. I've had one girlfriend my entire life, but maybe making a face like this isn't the best option if you're looking for a girlfriend. Maybe, I don't know, maybe girls are into the whole, like, you know, in flared nostril and, like, just, like, your tongue laying out and just drooling all over the place, like, go! Yeah, maybe not so much. Dial that back a bit, bud, and maybe you got a shot. But of course, it's been a while since he's seen a picture of Vivi, so he's looking at a picture of her in the paper, and he's just like, oh, Vivi, you've blossomed into such a beautiful young woman, which I, for one, you know, just write off as code for, Vivi, your boobs have gotten so big. They're almost as big as Nami's. I'm so proud. That's the way I took that. They lay the paper out on the deck because everyone, like Sanji, like Nami's reading the paper like this, and Sanji just literally squirms in like, oh, Vivi, you're so pretty. I'm just like, okay, Look, okay, I ship these two really hard, but it seems like that really just, like, okay, Sanji, come on, man, just dial it down just a little bit, like, Jesus. I know it's been a while since you've seen pictures of Vivi and Rebecca, but and Viola as well, but they're just pictures, dude. Like, okay, calm down. But anyway, they lay the paper out. Everyone just kind of sits down and stares at it. Now, the paper doesn't cover everything, or rather, it might have covered everything. It's just they don't get a chance to read it all, because eventually Sanji just cuts out all the pieces of paper that have pretty girls on them, so Viola, Rebecca, and Vivi. They find out Dr. Kureha's in the picture, and she's striking the pose, and, you know, Chopper's looking at that, and she's like, Dr. Reed, I missed you so much, and so he cuts out the picture of Kureha. So Nami is complaining that just like, guys, I haven't finished reading that yet. I haven't even read the other side of the paper. Now there's holes all over it. It's possible that those parts that they cut out might have covered the whole issue with, like, the Celestial Dragon trying to kidnap Shirahoshi, or maybe Morgans didn't even put that in there because that might be a problem later on down the line because it's painting the Celestial Dragons in a negative light. All I'm saying here is that everything that we know that happened in Reverie is not in the paper. The Straw Hats are not reading about, like, every little event that occurred there. Mostly just the arrival of the nobles and everything like that, who are their escorts, all that kind of stuff. Also, some of these pictures, you know, I'm looking at these and I'm just like, man, you'd need a very discreet photographer in order to get all of these. Perhaps some sort of invisible man. But invisibility, that's just silly in the One Piece world, you know? Okay, but anyway, yeah, they're all fawning all over the paper, and Sanji strikes yet another very wow, Oda is really, maybe it's just because it's been a while, but yeah, we had a little bit of a mini arc there with Reverie, and there was a lot of seriousness at the end of Totland. It's been a while since we've seen just a straight-up Sanji perv face, but he's kind of dialed it up to a little bit higher than it used to be. I mean, just look at this. This is kind of the stuff of nightmares a little bit. Are they obsessively talking about me? I love Nami's reaction in the background. She's just so used to this shit at this point. It's just like, if they are, good for you, you know? So yeah, this is Reverie in Sanji's head, you know? Rebecca and Viola arrive, and then Vivi arrives, and then Shirahoshi arrives, and they all start talking to each other. And basically all the stuff they were talking about, you know, Luffy, they're talking about Sanji instead. Like, in Sanji's mind, it's just like, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, you're Princess of the Ryuga Kingdom. You're so big. You're so pretty. Did you meet that handsome, dashing, blonde rogue, too? Oh, yes, I did. Sanji, he was absolutely gorgeous. I loved his brow. He touched me, and I almost orgasmed on the spot, girl. On the spot. Oh, my God, I can't wait to meet him again. I hope he's okay. Yeah, Sanji, you keep on dreaming, buddy. You just keep on dreaming. Maybe someday. So, yeah, we have the whole Dr. Kureha thing. Chopper fawns over that. And there was this funny also scene where Sanji comes up and looks at the picture of Kureha, and he's just like, so she's still, that old witch is still alive, huh? And Chopper, like, kicks him right in the face, and that's pretty funny. They're kind of dynamic. Remember that Sanji and Kureha, their interactions, they didn't get off on a good foot, so to speak. Although, one of the funniest scenes in One Piece, or at least one of my favorite scenes in the Drum Island arc, is for most of the arc, whenever Sanji and Kureha were talking to each other, Sanji calls her an old woman, and of course, she picks up a mace, like, you know, can't you repeat that there, dearie? And, like, throwing weapons at them. But there was the scene when Wapol arrives back at the castle, and they all kind of walk out. It's like Luffy and Chopper and Kureha and Sanji, and they all walk out to confront Wapol, and I think it's like Sanji or Luffy, somebody's like, you know, they say to Kureha, like, hey, old lady, are you going to join in the fight too? And Kureha's like, you know, what did I tell you about calling me old lady? Whatever. If they're too much for you to handle, Shorkstack, then I'll jump in, but until then it's on your own. So that was a cool scene. Like, that implies Kureha could handle this whole thing by herself. But then when Kuramarimo shoots one of his like hairballs over, Sanji blocks it with his foot, and he's like, you know, don't you know you shouldn't be hurting a woman, especially a hot young one like this? And it's like Sanji finally, like, after getting chased around the castle for like 3 hours by swords and maces and shit, he finally gets the message of how he should treat Dr. Kureha. I thought that was like a really funny scene, and Kureha's like, you finally understand how this works, don't you? So that was a funny scene. But anyway, yeah, they all cut out the scenes and they start looking over that, and Nami's complaining she can't read the rest of the paper. She also says that there's an article about Kaido and Big Mom, but she can't read it because of the missing pieces, and you'd think this would be rectified by just give me back the pieces of paper so I can read this article, and then, you know, you can have them back. But Sanji and Chopper are just like, no way. So it's obviously an article about the alliance between Big Mom and Kaido and how this is going to go down. And something maybe important was in the paper that we didn't know, but the Straw Hats don't know either, so I guess they're both in the dark here. You're asking Sanji to give up pictures of beautiful women. I mean, he has to have something to jerk off to. I mean, the internet does not exist in the One Piece world. He's got to have something, you know? Something to go off of. But anyway, they just continue sailing, just ignoring that little piece of information. Like, 2 of the Yonkos are having some sort of, crap, I can't read this, but this is big news. And everyone's like, doesn't worry about that. Come on, Wano time! So they begin to approach Wano, and they see this massive area that the waves begin to look a little bit different. The swells are out of the ordinary compared to the rest of the ocean. The sky starts going dark. These huge pillars just start shooting up out of the water, so if they crash into one of those, it's going to cause some problems. So in this chapter, like, a lot of stuff happens in terms of, like, artistic wise, like the way that Oda draws, like just the sea currents and everything. A lot of it is taken out of, like, traditional Japanese paintings, like the ukiyo-e paintings, where there's like the giant wave crashing down, this waterfall we get to see later. There's a lot of references to Japanese mythology in this chapter and just the culture in general, so we'll get to that. It's pretty much just like, you know, off to the port side, I can see it. What do you see, Nami? I see Japan. Just Japan, Japan, Japan. Waves of Japan coming at them. Essentially how it goes. So, they remember what Kinemon told them about approaching Wano. And they have a Den Mushi. And they're like, oh, is anyone on the Den Mushi? Is anyone responding? Because the way that Kinemon set this up, I guess, before they all left Zou, was like, listen, approaching my country, Wano, is not easy. It's not the kind of place you could just sail to and then just dock your ship and get off. It's very hard to approach it. You're going to need basically special instructions once you get there. So here's a Den Mushi, and just use it when you get close. I'll pick up and I'll explain to you how to get to the country. Now, unfortunately, Kinemon is not picking up, and that can mean any number of things. It doesn't mean like Kinemon is, you know, lying dead and defeated somewhere in Wano right now. It could mean that him and Kanjuro and Raizo are in the middle of espionage right now. Maybe they're tailing somebody. Maybe they're trying to spy on the Shogun or some high nobility, or they're dealing with all of Zoro's crap from the last chapter. They just don't have this, like, the worst possible time for the call to come. So, essentially, they do not have Kinemon's expertise to guide them into Wano. Basically the same kind of thing that happened during Fishman Island, whenever Hachi was the one that was supposed to guide them down to the ocean depths. So, just like in that situation, they really only have their own wits to get by here. Well, when I say wits, I basically mean, you know, Luffy being Luffy and just a mountain of good luck on their side. But that's how we go there. So this is the first obstacle, just giant waves swelling all over the place and these pillars that are causing these interesting whirlpools. And if they get sucked in, they'll get, you know, crashed against a rock and, you know, goodbye Straw Hats at that point. Right, so the weather starts getting rough and they got to start getting serious if they're going to manage to get to Wano in one piece. So Nami's like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. You know, Luffy, Sanji, you get ready for an enemy attack. Brooke, watch the starboard side. Chopper, you watch the port side. Carrot, get up in the lookout. And as for you, Admiral Octopus, you can watch the... Oh my god, Admiral Octopus, what are you doing here? I had a run-in with Admiral Octopus once. I was, strolling around parts of the internet that you're not supposed to be at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and, I ran into some tentacles, and it was rough. I barely got out of there alive. But anyway, Admiral Octopus, what are you doing here, man? So yeah, everyone freaks out over the giant octopus that is now present on their ship that is doing he's doing what I think is that sound effect I used at the beginning of the video, like the... Yeah, he's doing that shit, like this thing like Jiraiya would do from Naruto or whatever, and everyone's freaking out over that. Like, the octopus, I mean, they should be used to this at this point. How many times in the series has just a random sea monster just arrived on the Straw Hat's ship? You know, like Yokozuna, the giant frog back in Water 7, you know? They should be used to the, you know, par for the course at this point, but they start freaking out over the octopus. It's not really doing anything. It's not hurting them or anything, so whatever. I think just stay away from Nami. Okay, we're introducing a giant taco. Taco is the Japanese word for octopus, although it makes me hungry for actual tacos. But yeah, there's a giant taco on the freaking ship right now, so just back away from the cute navigator and we'll be okay. We'll be okay. You can take Luffy if you want, that's fine, but you know, just stay away from the females, please, for the love of... And Carrot, too, for the love of God. We don't need tentacle hentai in our One Piece. But anyway, well, it's Japan, so we'll see where that goes. But anyway, in the distance, they notice something bubbling toward them, and it turns out to be an entire school of fish. Carp, or koi in this case. And, you know, they're late for school. They gotta get there. They gotta learn their... Oh my god, can you believe it? We're late? Oh my god, we're missing geography. Geography is everything, Bill. Get your freaking fins moving. So yeah, now giant fish are beginning to, not really attack the Sunny, but they're just, you know, swimming around them. So they're getting, like, knocked up on the waves and getting knocked up on the fish and down again. So there's, like, a bunch of these things. Also, by the way, it's at this point that I noticed that there's patches on the sail of the Thousand Sunny because of Big Mom's attack when her hair lit the sails on fire. So they did some pretty simple repair work since then. So that's pretty cool there. But Frankie will take a look at it when they get to Wano and he'll patch it up, you know, in probably like less than an hour. But yeah, it gets them by from where they need to go, right? So giant school of fish. Obviously, in this situation, Luffy can only think about food, about grilling them up. Sanji mentions it's very odd to see koi fish here, because koi fish are freshwater fish, and this is the ocean. But then again, Brooks looks at the water, and he notices that it's no longer like the ocean. It doesn't look cloudy at all. It's as clear as a mountain stream. So once again, guys, we're under attack by full frontal Japan! You know, so much Japan. There's koi fish and clear water and the ukiyo waves and whatever the hell. Yeah, oh, by the way, speaking of koi, does anyone remember the Season 1 finale of Avatar: The Last Airbender with the koi fish that are spirits and the moon and the... Yeah, that was such a great show. They really need to come out with another season of that. I know there's, like, comic books and stuff, but I don't know why they stopped that after Legend of Korra. It was one of, like, the greatest best thing that ever came out of Nickelodeon. I swear to God, even better than, like, we're not even, like, comparing it to, like, you know, like, cartoons meant for kids, but Avatar: The Last Airbender, amazing. Are we all on the same page there? Anyway, so yeah, the fish are swarming, I guess would be the term. I don't know. Luffy asks Sanji, he's like, hey, Sanji, are koi fish, you know, can we eat them? Are they tasty? And Sanji's just like, oh, yeah, sure, they're delicious. You know, I could saute them like this, we could sweet boil them, we could put them in the sauce first, or we could put them in, you know, cold and then hot water. He's, like, talking all these different recipes. Meanwhile, the ship is, like, rocking to and fro. He's like, can you guys compare recipes later? Can we do something about this? And of course, Luffy is just like, oh, I'm gonna get me one. So he just reaches out, grabs a koi fish to try to capture it. These things are huge. So he's just like riding, it's like a freaking bowl. He's just riding it on the back. And he's like, oh, would you just stop resisting? And the other crew members, this was funny. They're just looking at this and they're like, well, of course it's gonna resist. It's just like Luffy expected the thing just to be like, oh, completely okay with this. He's like, come on, Mr. Koi Fish, let's just calm down and we can eat you. And the koi fish would be like, oh, oh, okay, I didn't want to live any, like Luffy just happened to wrangle like a particularly, you know, depressed, suicidal fish, and it's just like, okay, I guess I'll go with you. Like, of course the poor thing is gonna resist, you know? So Nami gets super pissed at Luffy. We see her jagged mouth, but, you know, that's what are you gonna do at this point? The waves are getting even bigger, and they're essentially just at the mercy of the carp at this point, the Magikarp, so to speak, because they're getting, you know, sucked up in their current, and the waves are so bad that they really can't change direction or anything, so they're essentially at the mercy or wherever these carp are going, which you might think would be an okay thing, because the carp are obviously heading to Wano, except for the little tiny issue of there being a giant waterfall that they have to climb up now, because the carp, of course, are capable of, you know, swimming up the stream of the waterfall to the top, and they assume that Wano must be at the top here. Now, this is all a bunch of crazy wackadoodle kind of layout of the geography of Wano and everything. We'll probably get a map of it, or at least Oda will explain what's all going on here. It's entirely possible that, you know, Wano might be, like, you know, way above sea level, like, not to the point where it's like, you know, the red line or anything, but it might be like a giant mountain that just extends off the sea, and then at the top here, that's the actual country. Might be something like that. That would also help deter people away. If there's this giant wall that you can't normally get up, there's no place to dock your ship. Or rather, you can dock your ship, but you might lose your ship in the currents, and you'd still have a giant rock wall to climb up or something. So yeah, but how are the Straw Hats going to get on top of it? Well, like I said earlier, Luffy being Luffy and a assload of good luck on their side, Luffy just grabs one of the carp, I guess ties another one of his rubbery body to the freaking mast or whatever, and it just propels the Sunny straight up this friggin' waterfall, and they manage to arrive. Well, we don't really know if all of them managed to arrive, because in the very next scene, all we have is the Thousand Sunny beached on some random area. We see sand, and we see the trees and mountains in the distance. Kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball, honestly. Birds flying, and Luffy, just Luffy, is lying in the sand. We don't know what happened with Brook or Nami or Carrot, Sanji, Chopper. They might be all separated for the time. This is really giving me Fishman Island flashbacks, actually. They have to go through this, you know, rushing water, and then the ship just kind of, like, lands some random place. Right, so Luffy's just kind of laying there on the beach, just getting some Z's in, you know, okay, and then it's Luffy. And then a crab just kind of pops its head out of the sand, and... Hi. How are you? Guess I'll name you. What's a good name for a crab? I don't know. Like, I will name you, Major, Vincent. Major Vincent. Okay, Major Vincent! Can you go and... wake up, Luffy? That'd be just a little bit swell if you... Okay, good. Can you just... Oh, there we go. Okay. So the crab pinches Luffy's nose. He wakes up, you know, typical cartoon kind of style. Like, ah, you damn crab. So he gets up, and he's just kind of looking around. He's just like, whoa, okay. I'm on a beach. Is this Wano? I have no idea what happened here. Where is everybody? I don't see anybody around. What happened to everyone? And then that's when he hears this giant roar, to which he turns and see that a giant lion dog monster is gnawing away at the Thousand Sunny. And so he obviously shouts out, like, get away, you damn thing, quit eating our ship. And this is actually a Koma Inu, which is another, you've definitely seen this thing before. It's in a bunch of different anime over the years, and it's a big part of Japanese mythology. It's like a lion dog kind of creature, you know, that's what this thing looks like. It's a figure from Japanese mythology. So, obviously, more Japan thrown, like, you ever have a nice wad of just good hot Japan thrown in your face? That's what this chapter does, man. This is what this chapter does. And if you need even more hot Japan for the taking, a baboon with a katana walks out of the jungle and then threatens the Koma Inu, and that's where the chapter ends. Luffy just looking on, witnessing this giant monkey with a katana, and realizing, yep, I'm in Wano. I love that. He just gets up and he's like, where am I? Is this Wano? And like, monkey, katana. Yep, I'm in Wano. Cool. Well, at least we made it. Took us a long time. But yeah, that's the end of the chapter. We don't really get much more of that. Like I said, this chapter's more about just, like, focusing on the aesthetic of Wano and stuff and getting there rather than, you know, dropping anything big, like, plot-wise on us. It was actually kind of refreshing because this is the first chapter in a while that can just kind of give us a breather. You know, every single thing that's happened up to this point, pretty much ever since chapter 903, with the reveal of Luffy's new bounty, and then in the next chapter we had, you know, the Revolutionary Commanders, and after that we had Reverie, and Reverie was just like huge plot twist, huge plot twist, huge plot twist, huge plot twist. Sorry, guys. And then after that, even last chapter, we had the introduction. Whatever, Frankie's too top-heady. And then at the end, we just have Wano being introduced with the other Straw Hats we haven't seen in forever. This chapter is just, okay, the Luffy and the crew just sailing along the water, having to deal with some rough weather. Admiral Octopus makes an appearance. Yo! And they arrive. Now, I'm sure Brook and Chopper and Sanji and Lum, they're all around. They might still be on the ship for all we know. They might just be knocked out or whatever. They might be like that. Like, Luffy might have just gotten flung from the ship a little bit because he was the one that was, like, holding on to the carp. So when they hit the top of the waterfall, he might have gotten and then landed next to the ship, and then the other ones might be still on there. You know, as for the octopus, well, just like what happened with Yokozuna, just like what happened with Megalo, I'm sure the octopus is going to have a name, or they're going to give him the name. I would want to just name him Tako-chan or something like that. It'd be fine. And then I'm sure that the taco is going to be useful at some point in Wano in some way. We'll see how that goes. Maybe there's like going to be a side quest with the octopus. Maybe it's just like, I want to be a famous kabuki actor or something. I don't know. We'll see. As for what's going to happen with the giant lion and the baboon, I'm sure there's going to be an interaction there, but I'm not worried about them like hurting Luffy or the Straw Hats or anything. They'll probably just fight each other for a little bit, and if they turn, Luffy could just always use Conquerors to be like, hey guys, settle down, or he's like, hey guys, you need to show us into the city or something like that. I could totally see like the lion just, you know, carrying everybody on his back. Like, Luffy is definitely going to tame that thing. He's either going to tame that or the baboon, one of the two, and he's going to ride into the city with that. So, like Chopper and Brook and Sanji, all those guys, they'll be on top of the Koma Inu riding into the Wano city, and then Luffy will be on top of the baboon like, hey, we are here! And of course, it'll be the exact opposite. Like, you know, it's like, oh, we should be stealthy, make sure they don't know who we are. And of course, they'll just charge right in, like, here's who we are! So, yeah, great chapter, a lot of fun. There are some similarities. Like, the first thing you're going to think of when you think of a monkey with a sword in terms of One Piece is you're going to think back to the human drills that were on Mihawk's Island. Doesn't exactly look the exact same as that. It might be a related species, but at the same time, this is a completely separate country. I don't know anything about that, but yeah, it's another kind of monkey that wields a sword. Given how strange the One Piece world is, there might be multiple different animal species that hold weapons. That's understandable, right? But anyway, yeah, so the entire Straw Hat crew is now officially on Wano. Let's get into it. I'm gonna make an assumption. You ready? You ready for my assumption? Not really so much of a theory or anything in terms of the plot, but the next chapter of One Piece is going to be titled Adventure on the Island of Samurai. Or something like that, because that's what Oda always does when they arrive at a new island. Like, Adventure in the Land of Passion and Toys, that was Dressrosa. Adventure on the Burning Island, that was Punk Hazard. Adventure on, like, the top of the elephant, that was Zoe. So, next chapter is probably going to be something like that. I'm calling it now. And, so yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Pretty cool chapter. Yeah, see you back here next week. And, last thing, announcement, big one. If you haven't gotten the video yesterday, I'm going to take the time to bring it up now. Tomorrow, July 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here are the different time zones for that. I am going to be hosting a charity live stream event for the Children's Tumor Foundation. It's going to be 6 hours long. I'm going to have guests there in person. A bunch of YouTubers created videos for it. If you want more information on that, go and watch this video here I made yesterday. That's the actual announcement for the event. But tomorrow, July 7th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 6 hours up until 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It might go longer. Who knows? Depends on how many donations we get. My goal is going to be $3,000. I hope we can make that. I hope we can make more than that. It's for the kids. It's for research for neurofibromatosis, which is a really shitty disease to have. Go look it up. We'll be covering all that stuff tomorrow. I hope you can make it there. I hope we have a really fun time. But yeah, so I just had to bring that up here to everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a good freaking night. Shing!